Hello friends, I'm Brian and this is Gizmo Board Games. And today I am starting my top 50 favorite games of all time countdown. I started this channel 2 years ago on February 28th, 2022, and last year in celebration of my first year anniversary, I did my first ever top 50 countdown. I wasn't sure if I was going to come back right away a year later and do another one, but I feel like I've played enough new games and I've got plenty of movement in my favorite games that I feel alright doing this again. So here I am. I'm going to fill out most of February with this countdown and finishing off my top 10 on the 28th to celebrate my 2-year anniversary. And leading up to that, I'm going to do 2 separate 20 game chunks, starting with this one, 50 to 31. And then I'll do 30 to 20 or to 11 and next week. So you'll see these 2 videos coming out now to get through my first 40 of my top 50. And then for my anniversary celebration, we'll count down my top 10. And I may or may not have a guest. I had a guest last year, way less likely to have one this year, but you never know. I've got time to maybe try to figure that out. Not planning on it right now, but you never know. That said, I don't want to waste too much of your time. I hope I can piddle through this relatively quickly. I don't want to ramble on and on any more than I have to. So let's go ahead and get right into it, starting with number 50. This is my number 46 last year. It fell down just a little bit. It's still a game I haven't played in quite a while. I don't remember the last time I pulled it out and got it to the table. I have played the app within the last year or two, but physically playing Alhambra just hasn't happened. I really like Alhambra. It's a great, one of the first games I even played in the hobby. It's drafting cards and buying tiles and building up your Alhambra, your city of tiles, and then trying to get points from set collection and walls or connectivity of the tiles. And so that's all I'm going to say about that. Alhambra, really enjoyed that one. Haven't played it in a while, so that's probably why it's starting to slowly fizzle out and just barely catch the list here. Another one that's fallen a little bit, 8 slots from last year at 41, is my number 49, Cascadia. This was the game of the year in 2022, I believe it was. A game that I really enjoy playing. It's easy to teach to new people, but it has plenty of thinkiness, whether you're new or not. It's got a family mode, 2 versions of family mode, even a really easy family mode, easier family mode, and then it's got the standard game mode. It just came out with a new expansion this past couple of months, I think. I haven't got my hands on that yet. I'm not sure what all it adds, but Cascadia, enjoyable game, but it's just fallen down a little bit because there's other games, new games have hit the list that I enjoy more. And, after playing it a few times, it does get a little bit stale because there's not much variety to it outside of how the scoring is going to go from game to game. So it's fallen a little bit for that. Haven't got my hands on the expansion, so maybe once I do, it'll start making its way back up the list. Number 48 is a new game on the list, a game I just played last year, or maybe I did play it in 2022 because I don't remember it being on my 2023 list. But Amsterdam, one of the Queen City games from Stefan Feld. I really like this one. I think it just missed the list last year, and here it is on 48, just kind of hanging on the list as I've played with it. And let me preface, this list came from pubmeeple. I put every game I played, 195 different games that had a chance of being ranked. Some of them I took off because I knew they weren't going to have any shot at making anywhere near the top 200 or whatever. So 195 games went head to head in pubmeeple and spat out this list, and then I made a couple of tweaks, but not many tweaks. It pretty much is as pubmeeple spit it out. And so that might be a reason why Amsterdam also snuck on the list. So Amsterdam, number 48, Stefan Feld Cities game where every round you're going to use the cubes that you've either acquired in this round or from past rounds, because you're going to roll a couple d6 and decide which ones you want to use to put on your turntable to get you action cubes for the round, depending on what number it is. So if it's 6, you get 6 cubes, but it's 6 rounds from now that you get those. If you get a 1, you get them this round, but you only get 1 cube. A little bit of a track, pick up, deliver, set collection, and area control, all wrapped into a good thinky stuff on Feld game. Amsterdam, based on this is a re-implementation from Queen Games in their Cities collection. I wish I could remember what game it used to be. Anyway, that's Amsterdam. My number 48. Number 47 is another new to this list, but definitely not new to me game. It's another one that I think I've just played it a little bit more. I've gotten more enjoyment out of my plays, and you know, maybe it just lined up in the pairings right on pubmeeple to kind of scratch its way onto this part of the list. It is Libertalia, The Winds of Galecrest, a game that I really do enjoy. It plays so well from 1 to 6. Every play count plays slightly different because, you know, a 1 and 2 player game is way more, well, not necessarily, one's a little bit more luck based, but it still plays super well. A 2 player game is definitely your matching wits, because everybody's got the same action cards that they're, you know, same pirates that they're sending out. They vary as the game goes on, but in the end, everybody's going to have the same options at their disposal. It's just a matter of when and how they play them. So that's Libertalia, a re-implementation of the older game that came out a couple of years ago from Stonemaier Games. Really enjoy it. 1 to 6 player game. Super fun at all player counts, in my opinion. Number 46 is a new to me, new from last year. I think it was in my top 20 new to me games last year. I have to imagine it was in I think it was the top 5, even if it's on my top 50 all-time list. A game I've only played a couple times solo, but still really enjoy it. It's a game from was it Capstone Games, I believe. It's Boone Lake, Alexander Pfister game. Action selection, where the action you take is then going to slide to the bottom of the action selection ladder and making it weaker for the next player until it works its way back up again. So you're fighting over those action slots, you're fighting your way down the river, you're fighting your way onto the board for points. Just a lot of great, thinky, fun, juiciness to Boone Lake, and that's why it's my number 46 game, another new one on the list. Number 45 is not a new to the list game. It was on number 39 last year, so another one that's just fallen just a hair, and this again is because I haven't played it in so long. It helps to be a fresh game because I remember it better. It's fresher, you know. So, yep. A little bit of a fall for Marrakesh, but I imagine this is going to start rising again because any day now I'm going to receive the solo module so I can start playing it on my own time instead of trying to get a group together and then teach them this thinky, crunchy, heavy stuff on Feld game of multi-action, multi-selection, multi-points, multi-everything. I really enjoy this game. In fact, I'm already regretting that it's at 45 and not higher up. But again, I haven't played it in so long. I want to get back to the table and play it again. And I look to do that as soon as I get my solo expansion here. That's Marrakesh, my number 45. Number 44 has dove, comparatively speaking, to a lot of these on the list. Just looking ahead to what I've got, I'm pretty sure this one's fallen the furthest, other than stuff that might have fallen off the list that I didn't account for. This one has fallen 28 spots, and it's justified. I like the game, but I never pull it out and play it. And so it's going to keep falling until I get that urge to play it. I got people who like this game a lot more than I do. So if, you know, they eke me back into it, I'll play it again. It is Dinosaur Island. My number 16 from last year is now number 44. So, yeah, how many new games did I play last year? I think I played 50 to 60 new games. So, you know, in theory, everything could have fallen off the list. But no, this 28 place fall is pretty significant. Dinosaur Island, I really like it. I like the theme, I think, more than the game. There's just other games I have that do a lot of the same thing that aren't as complex, aren't as long, aren't as bulky. But I really do like the feel of Jurassic Park. And that's what the game is. You're trying to get dinosaurs, or make dinosaurs and keep them pinned and secure with your security before they eat your patrons, and then you lose points accordingly. I like it, but man, do I not pull it out ever. And the solo mode has a lot to be desired too, and that probably is part of it too. But I do have some people who really enjoy it and do get it out from time to time. It's just been a while. Number 43 has fallen 17 spots from 26 last year. It is Santa Maria. A little bit of an action selection dice, not manipulation, dice drafting. There we go. And you're going to draft a die, and they're either going to move horizontally or vertically on your action board, basically. And you're going to get every action all the way down till the die stays put on the last one and covers it up for future action selection. You're generating resources. You're trying to build up that action selection board, and that is also going to be how you're going to get some points. And you're going to move down some tracks to get points. And I like it. It's tight, thinky. Dice drafting with action, based on the dice you draft, and then the things you're doing on your actions with your resources and what you're buying and using for later. And it plays pretty quickly, 3 rounds. I don't believe I've played this with other people, maybe once, but it's got a decent solo mode that gets to feel the game. This one I think just slid down because a little bit of lack of play, and a lot of bit of things have just pushed it out of the way. And again, with pubmeeple, there are other things that I selected slightly better than Santa Maria, but still a very enjoyable game. 42 was another hard faller. In fact, this one used to be like my favorite game of all time, or at least one of them. Is definitely top 3 way back in the day, and now it's fallen 25 spots from 17 to 42. It is Champions of Midgard. And this counts the Valhalla expansion. If I didn't include the Valhalla expansion, this would be off the list. Valhalla keeps it alive for me because it really mitigates a lot of the bad luck and allows you to keep playing a competitive game. Worker placement, Viking themed. You're going out and you're fighting with Viking dice. A lot of fun. Everybody I've taught it to has really enjoyed it. It's easy one to get out and start to teach the worker placement mechanisms to new folks, I think. And the Valhalla, a little more complexity, not much, but yeah, Champions of Midgard, another one I just fallen off because I think there are just so many other games that I enjoy now, especially in the worker placement realm, because of the dice randomness kind of keeps it down. But there was a time that I was playing this probably once a week, once every couple weeks, and everybody was enjoying it. But now I've got a full collection of games and many other options, but still such a good game. With the stipulation that you include the Valhalla expansion. All right, getting halfway through this list is a game that's only fallen a couple slots from 43 to 40, or actually it's risen a couple slots. The first riser on the list. My bad, I read that backwards. It's actually gone up a couple slots, so that's good. Game I haven't played a whole lot either recently. I played a few times a few months ago. My favorite semi-cooperative game, it is Shadows over Camelot, a game where you are the Knights of the Round Table. You're going out and you're trying to complete quests around Camelot before Camelot becomes too under siege, or whatever other lost mechanism I don't remember off the top of my head. But also one of your knights could be a traitor and is working to have you lose, and you're trying to suss that person out while still trying to do all the things. It's a game that is tough even without the traitor, but not overly tough like what's the zombie game? Why can't I remember it? Dead of Winter. Dead of Winter, another semi-cooperative game with a potential traitor. That is way more unforgiving. The traitor's almost going to win every single time, and you're probably still going to lose. But at least in that game, the traitors got their own tasks too, so they might not win. But Shadows over Camelot, traitor or not, is random, and it's just an enjoyable game. I like it. It's a game that's out of print too, so that might help weigh into my enjoyment of it. The fact that I have it and can play it whenever I want, knowing others can't, might lead into my feelings on it. But still, either way, I think it is a solid semi-cooperative game. One of my favorites at 41. All right, cutting into the second half of this list, my number 40 game was 23 last year. It's fallen quite a bit. It's a game that, again, I need to get to the table with other people. I also need to dig into more of the expansions. I haven't really dug into everything that I've spent my money on because it's that big box right there, Everdell. I have the complete collection, and I've only touched basically the standard game and the solo, the spider one, the spider expansion. That is outstanding solo way of playing Everdell. But again, it's one of those tableau building games. that I enjoy. I like the thinkiness, the worker placement aspect, and everything it has to offer. But every time I think about, A or B, when it came up on pubmeeple, there are a lot of times where I was picking something other than Everdell. So, maybe it's not as great as I after cooling on it, I guess. When I first got it, I was way high on it. That was late last year when it was, fresh. And now a year later, it's not as fresh, and I haven't played it as much. And I don't always think I want to pull it out. Nothing against the game. It's a good game. There's just so many other good games, so many other opportunities that I have in my collection. And that's why it's just kind of falling out. I could see this still hovering in this range for the foreseeable future, unless there are a bunch of outstanding games. It's a really good game, and I think around this 40 mark is probably where it's going to stay, as some of these other games that are ahead of it right now might fall behind it. Number 39 has risen 9 spots. Not my biggest riser, not even on today's list from the looks of it, but rose 9 from 48 last year to 39 this year. It is Creature Comforts. Just a cute, fun game that I've played with my family, and I've had enjoyable time. I play with my friends. It's easy to teach. It looks good. It gives you enough thinkiness. It's got dice worker placement, but unlike other worker placements, everybody can go to the spots. But you're not necessarily guaranteed to get the spot, because you're going to place your workers before you get to place your dice, or all the dice. You only know some of the options. You don't know everything you're going to have. And another thing it does is some of the spots you can't even do. You have 3 or 4 workers, but you only have 6 dice, and some of the spots take 2 and 3 dice. So you gotta think before you place on all the good spots, because you're not going to be able to use all the good spots. So that's something my daughter had to learn, is managing dice expectations and with the worker placement. It's just a great, fun, easy but thinky family game. Creature Comforts. I really, really do enjoy that one, and that's why it's risen as I continue to get enjoyment out of it. 38 is another new to me game, new to the list. Was on my top new to me games from last year list as well. It is Kanban EV, Vital Lacerda game that you're just working a car factory basically, and you're going around. You've only got 5 spots, maybe 6 that you can go and do a thing, but everything you do makes sense. You're going to, get parts to build cars. You're going to build cars. You're going to put them on the road and test them. You're going to advertise for them, I believe, or upgrade them. Trying to remember what all the spots are off the top of my head, but everything makes sense. So while I'm not a car person, the theme makes sense, makes it easy to play and follow. And there's a Sandra person who's going around, and if you're not, meeting her needs in each section, you're going to take a hit. So you need to kind of do a little bit of everything too, but you also want to kind of focus, because you're going to get scoring positions, opportunities as the game progresses, and you're going to score at various unknown necessarily times. And so you want to keep up with what scoring options you might have. There's some base ones on the board, but also you're going to have some in your hand that you're going to have to play out too. And you don't know what everybody else has, but you know what you have, so you can work towards one of your goals as well as the main goals, and then hope you might hit another one. Just a lot of good thinkiness. It all makes sense. I really enjoy it. It's not overly heavy, I don't think, comparatively speaking to the other Vital Lacerda game I played. And I just really like Kanban EV, and so it's debuting here at number 38. Number 37 is new to the list, but definitely not new at all to anyone ever. This is a game that, the more I think about it, I don't know why it was left off the list last year. Shame on me, I guess, because Ticket to Ride, just such a good game. It really stands the test of time. And that's why it's here. It's on the list, number 37. I haven't even played it in a while either. I think once in the past year. But it's just one of those games as I was doing pubmeeple, and I thought about, I can't, Ticket to Ride is a good game. Would I play it over some of these other games? Maybe not necessarily, but yes, for a lot of games, yes. I wish I was playing it more often than I am now. Another one of those games that I could introduce to anybody and get them in the hobby. It's a welcoming game. Everybody should be able to get the theme. It's easy to play, easy to teach, easy to do. It's such a solid game. I shame on me for leaving off the list last year. It's definitely a top 50 game. If you've only played 200 some games, 300 games like I have, Ticket to Ride's got to be one of the top 50, right? Like, it got me into the hobby, or one of the ones that got me into the hobby. So shame on me last year, but here it is, 37, back on the list. Hopefully not shame on me next year for it falling right back off. Number 36, another new to the list, but not new to me game. I think this one was like 51 or 52 last year. I'm pretty sure this was one of the ones that really could have been on the list and just wasn't. And it is Forbidden Island, another great cooperative game where you're trying to gather relics from an island and then to get to the helipad and fly it back to safety as a group before the island gets washed away. It's a Matt Laycock game, same guy who did Pandemic, which I guarantee you'll see later. I just really enjoy the cooperative mode. It really does wonderful things. It's easy to teach, but really, really hard. Not overly hard, but hard, complex, and that's why I like Forbidden Island. Of the Forbidden series, still my favorite. Although Forbidden Desert is pretty good too. So that's where that stands. All right, number 35 was number 32 last year, so basically in the same spot. And number 34, I came up on pubmeeple head to head, and it was probably my hardest decision to figure out which one went first and which one was going to fall further down the list. And turns out they ended up right next to each other the whole way through. So basically these are 34 and a half, number 34 and number 35. But number 35 is going to be The Magnificent game that I really enjoy. It's another one of these tight action selection games where you're going to build up in your tent area with, polyomino tiles that are going to score points, and they're going to act as the resources you need to meet the goals, along with the other resources you're going to have. You're just racing to get as many circus performances done as you can, basically, and build a nice little tent area that can house these events. And you don't want to run out of money, because if you run out of money, you're going to lose points. Obviously, you should, but everything is tight resource manipulation, tight action selection. You're going to take 4 actions over 3 rounds, so 12 total turns. And it's dice drafting. Again, I really like dice drafting. But the more powerful the die is, the more it's going to cost you at the end of the round. So you really got to be careful with that, because, like I said before, everything is tight. Every choice is tight. And this is a game that I actually started working on trying to make my own solo mode for, so that way I can keep playing it, because I really do enjoy it that much. It's The Magnificent. And number 34, squeaking just ahead, is Lacrimosa, a game where you are remembering Mozart. And again, you're taking a bunch of action selections based on cards you're drafting and building and replacing. You have 9 cards in the game, so if you buy a new card, you're discarding a card, and you're playing 2 cards each turn, 4 times in a round for 3 or 4 rounds. I don't remember that one off the top of my head, but the cards are dual use. The top use is your actions, and the bottom use is going to get your resources at the end of the round for the next round, or points. So it's another thinky, tight action selection game where you want to do way more than you're ever going to be able to do. So you really need to try to focus, but you do need to spread out so that way you can focus, because you're going to have to get resources and cards and everything else somewhere else to direct your actions. But it's got traveling around the board, area control, and in the form of building the Lacrimosa. I just love the thinkiness of Lacrimosa. I really like the theme too. I'm not a music person myself, but I do enjoy Mozart music, so it's nice to put some Mozart music on in the background and play Lacrimosa. A nice thinky card action selection, resource manipulation, do all kinds of things game. Number 33 has fallen 14 spots from number 19 last year. Still one of my favorite, I think my favorite Pandemic offshoot. I just haven't played it in a while. It's Pandemic: The Fall of Rome, and this takes the Pandemic gameplay style and turns it on its head quite a bit, because instead of wiping out certain spots of cubes on the board, the cubes are actually going to progress down this unique card location selection mechanic. So you really need to manage the cubes a lot differently than in a normal Pandemic game. And the goal is still pretty similar. You're still trying to, collect colors and then turn them in at the right time. But in this game, that's not the only thing. Like, you can collect colors and win, or you can just completely wipe a color off the board and win. But you have to have all the conditions met for all 4 or 5 colors simultaneously. So if you have all the blue cubes wiped off the board, but then in the next round a blue cube comes back, you no longer have all blue cubes wiped off the board, and you need to accomplish that goal again with the other goals. I just like it. Like I said, it's probably my favorite offshoot of the Pandemic system. I haven't played them all, but I have played a few of them, and I really like Fall of Rome. Plus, it's got that history theme. I'm a history person. Number 32 has risen a lot. Risen 18, actually. It was my number 50 last year, and somehow through the process of pubmeeple, it's jumped up quite a bit. I don't know if it's my biggest mover because I can't see my full list, but I would imagine it's one of the biggest movers at this point. Number 50 last year to number 32 this year. Rumble Nation, a game played in 2 phases, basically. The first phase is you're setting all your cubes out onto the board. There are 11 areas of the board based on 2 die, 2 through 12. Each zone is going to be randomly placed on the board. And the number of cubes you place out is determined by a 3rd die. You're going to roll 3 die. You're going to use 2 of them to place cubes onto, or the number of cubes of the leftover die, basically, onto the board. And you're trying to area control. But you're not just area controlling in that phase, because the next phase is you're going to go through those zones in numerical order from 2 to 12. And for each zone you win, you get to add cubes to neighboring zones. It's just a neat mechanic. It's got some cards you can use to manipulate your actions while you're in the planning phase, basically. And then the war phase just turns into a lot of crazy manipulation. Not manipulation because it's already predetermined, but if you haven't played it before, it really is surprising that you win zones that you never thought you were going to win. I am worried about the fact that after you've played it a bunch of times, you kind of know how to see the board, and it could get a little stale because there's not much variety to the game other than just the randomness of the dice roll and the randomness of your helper cards that are going to be out from game to game. So it could get stale, but it has not got stale to me. It's a game that isn't hard to teach. It doesn't take long to play, and it adds a lot of fun. Probably my favorite area control game, Rumble Nation, and not a game many people have heard of. And finally, closing out the list with number 31, a game that's fallen 13 spots from number 18. It's the Quacks of Quedlinburg, a game I really enjoy. It's a bag builder game where you're going around and you're pushing your luck as you pull things out of the bag, and then you're going to get points and spending money to build up your bag for the next and future rounds. And it's just a neat game of bag building, push your luck. Not really engine building, but what you're putting in your bag differ. You get those options, how strong, how much you want to go towards one color or the other. Plenty of variety with the options for what every color of ingredient does from game to game. So plenty of variety. I just really enjoy the Quacks of Quedlinburg. That's my number 31, and that rounds out my first 20 of my top 50 games of all time. I hope you like this list. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe below if you haven't already, because you're going to miss the rest of the list if you don't. Or maybe you won't. Maybe you'll find me the same way you found me this time for not being a subscriber. But I really do appreciate if you subscribe. Comment below what you thought of these 20, and maybe comment below with your 50 to 31. I don't know. I just like people commenting. I like reading other people's top 50s because it gives me ideas for the games I still need to check out. I look forward to seeing you back for my top 30 games of all time, and I will catch you next time. Bye.